Alright, welcome back, and it's time to continue with the performance testing. Now, something interesting has happened in one of the last mini updates. Vulkan has officially been expanded on a couple of different devices, and I believe that we will continue seeing that well into the future of the game. I think the Red Magic series, 10, 10S, and the rest. I think also Red Magic 9 as well as the Samsung Galaxy S24 and 25 series did receive official Vulkan support in the settings. Basically, the settings has been unlocked, which is a very nice thing. And as I mentioned before, my goal has been accomplished. We actually are getting the actual Vulkan switch in the settings, which so far has been performing really well. And overall, performance-wise, it's done a very good job. However, on my phone though, I don't have that setting for some reason, even though it works. I don't know if it's because I use a custom configuration file, could be, but on my S25, when I go into the settings, I just have the frame generation feature, and there is no Vulkan switch. Even though if you go and read the updates on the game, right, the section where you can read about bugs and issues, if you scroll down, one of the last updates, you can basically see that it should be allowed, but for some reason it's not there. I don't know why that's the case, but I believe that option will unlock itself down the road. Maybe I need to reinstall the game, probably the case, but we will be testing out the performance today on the previous generation, well, the older generations. Now, the 8 Gen 2, or in this case the 8 Plus Gen 2, on the Galaxy S23, and we will see how the game will perform on this older flagship chipset, which is still quite powerful even to this day. Very few games utilize this chipset's potential to the maximum, and with Vulkan, that's going to kind of make the game overall run better. So far on the S23, it's been running really well. With Vulkan, of course, but we will do the same comparison. First, we'll go OpenGL, then Vulkan, and then I will also enable frame generation. I'll show you how to do that, obviously, and then we will go at the end, go a little bit wild with the settings, and we will go with a custom configuration file, which is the same configuration file that I use on my S25. And that will push the graphics on this little device to its limits. But first we will start with OpenGL, as we usually do, with the default configuration. Basically, default means when you install the game and you don't really change anything, that's pretty much default out of the box. There's also a different way to call it, but yeah, launching the game, and we will see how 2.4 will perform. But overall, I am happy with the game direction. I'm waiting for the next character to be released. Well, Lupa is the next one technically released, but I'm waiting for the banner to be up. And then 2.5 will be crazy. Can't wait for that version update in a month or so. But today we will be focusing on the FPS. Now, as we have already seen in the past, OpenGL on the vast majority of devices, for software limitation reasons, doesn't really perform well on most of the phones out there. The main reason for that is going to be the fact that OpenGL doesn't really have good multi-threading, doesn't really utilize the GPU a lot, and obviously in this game it doesn't utilize all 8 cores simultaneously, and it doesn't really utilize them equally. Now, everything will be pretty much maxed out. On the S23 you don't have official frame generation support, you don't have official Vulkan support, but you can enable that quite easily. And I have to mention something about that, because I actually did struggle a little bit in 2.4 to set up the Vulkan and to set up the frame generation, because it seems like they have changed something in the way how the game recognizes either the lines or the code. Something has been changed. So in the past, I would say it was a little bit easier, because you didn't really have to add a lot of things within the device profile ini and in the engine ini. You just had to write 4 different lines in the device profile ini to get Vulkan to work. You didn't have to specify the GPU, you didn't have to specify the Android profile thing. You just could write Vulkan lines there, press save, boot up the game, and it would just boot up in Vulkan. On the S25, on the 8 Elite device, that is still the case. You can just write that in, boot up the game, and it will recognize Vulkan immediately. On the 8 Gen 2, on the 8 Plus Gen 2, that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. You need to write specific, I think you need to write in the specific GPU name of the device in order to get the Vulkan to be enabled. And I'll show you what I'm talking about in this video. I don't know what happens. They have changed something, and also in the engine ini, I did struggle a little bit to get frame generation to be activated. In the last test, I had 0 issues with that. Now in this test, it didn't really recognize them immediately. I don't know why that was the case, even though I think I put everything the right way, everything was correct. No mistakes, no typos. I mean, if there was a typo, we will see it today in this video, but I think I pretty much done everything right, and you struggle a little bit. It worked when I basically copied and pasted the whole configuration, and then I deleted the unnecessary things, and then I saved. Then it worked. So something definitely changed, but it still works. You just have to have a little bit more patience to set it up. In any case, with OpenGL, we see now it will be important to note to keep the temperatures in the eye, because OpenGL not only does it make performance bad, OpenGL also tends to make your phone a little bit toasty. Even though the 8 Gen 2 doesn't heat up nearly as much as the 8 Elite, I have tested that, and the 8 Elite can maintain a stable 95, 100 degrees Celsius without caring basically about the heat. The 8 Gen 2 does hit 85 and doesn't really go much above that. The 8 Elite definitely runs 15 degrees Celsius hotter, but it's designed to do that, so it's not really a big issue. And I'm talking about Celsius, by the way. 85, 100 degrees Celsius for the respective chips. Now the FPS so far, it's been a little bit all over the place. We see that the GPU isn't really being utilized that much. And now I have to mention one mistake that I've done in the last video with the 8 Elite. I forgot to add the FPS monitor, the FPS window there. Not the FPS, my apologies, the utilization of the GPU and the CPU. I forgot to add that, so I will have to probably redo that video with the 8 Elite, this time with all of the windows on screen. That was a little mistake I made last time. Nothing too significant, but at the same time I was a little bit annoyed at myself because I forgot that. But it will be, I'll change it in the... I'll definitely redo the video when I have time to do that. And maybe I will also reinstall the game to see if I will get the Vulcan switch officially. I don't know why it's not available on the S25, on my S25, but I will definitely reinstall the game, and we will see if it will pop in after a good old fresh reinstall. But so far, I mean, the overall FPS with OpenGL, I would say it kind of hit its limit, because you can't really do more than this with the OpenGL API. Vulkan, on the other hand, does help tremendously with stability and with the FPS. And overall, you guys told me that you had much better FPS once you enabled Vulkan. Most of you did say that you had better performance, but at the same time, a lot of you also have reported bugs, which honestly, I expected to see bugs. I mentioned that last time, and I said that, you know, it felt a little bit buggy, and you could definitely expect bugs with that. So again, everything that's I kind of anticipated and expected to happen, happened, which is fine, because I can definitely tell you right away that 2.4 has much less bugs on Vulkan, and I would actually say some of the features work a lot better in 2.4 with Vulkan than on OpenGL, which wasn't the case last time. Last time features worked better with OpenGL. For example, frame generation did not work with Vulkan. Now it works really well on the 8 Gen 2 and on the 8 Elite, as we will see today with the 8 Gen 2. But overall, Kura definitely, done the right thing. I've mentioned that before. They are continuing to do the right thing. Now, obviously, there's things that I can complain about. Hopefully, with the release of some of the new games, we will have. I really hope that Kuro does change the overall 50-50 mechanic on the characters. That's the most annoying thing, in my opinion. The most annoying thing about the game is the 50-50 in the characters, because if you lose the 50-50, you'll be frustrated, and you don't really know. It's uncertain that you're going to get what you want, right? Other new games that are coming out don't have that system, so I really hope that Kuro does remove that 50-50 and add a 100% guarantee. 100 pulls, 80 pulls, I think we will be fine with both. The 50-50, for example, it's something I don't like, and the 50-50 on characters needs to go. And I hope with the introduction of some of the new games that's going to happen, because so far Kuro has shown that they are willing to improve, and if competition does force improvement, I'm all in for it. Unlike a certain other game that still did not improve nearly more than half a decade after release, but that's a story for another time. Anyway, we do see quite I wouldn't really call it a frame drop, because while playing I don't really feel the frames drop, but if you were to look at the FPS monitor, yeah, you would definitely see the FPS dropping to 45, 40 FPS drops, but it does go back up. And again, that's pretty much the OpenGL limitation that we can already all expecting. We already kind of recognize that as a major issue within the game, but it will be fun to see and compare it to Vulkan, obviously. I mean, we already did that last time, and with Vulkan, yeah, it's just much better. However, a good thing I have to mention, the overall visuals of the game have been improved. Even on the default configuration, the overall new map, for example, the grass, the tree, the vegetation, everything just looks much better over here. There's a clear and obvious change within the graphics, and with every single new region, it just gets better and better visually. So, and with the custom configuration, as we have already seen in the past, the game just looks much better. Pretty damn close to the PC version of the game if you go and use the custom configuration, because of the overall improved visuals, textures, effects and stuff like that. On the 8 Elite, I play on a custom configuration file almost every day, and so far I have been enjoying the game that way a lot, just because it looks so good. Now, one thing I noticed though, for some weird reason, the game visually on the screen looks much better on the S23 than on the S25, and I've been breaking my head trying to figure out why that's the case, because the sharpness on the S23's display is insane. I don't know what kind of magic they done to this specific display, but it just looks insanely good on this game. The S25 looks very good as well, but I don't know, it's not the same sharpness. It's weird a very weird thing. And then I realized, I kind of figure out why that's the case. It's overall much higher, well, not much higher, but slightly higher pixel per inch rate on the S23, because this is a 6.1 inch display, the S25 is 6.2, so slightly larger. And you wouldn't believe me if I told you, but I actually see a visual difference in the pixel per inch quality and overall sharpness between the displays, which is, again, kind of insane to think about. But yeah, let's do a little run here, and 86 degrees Celsius. You know, it's funny because on the same temperature with Vulkan, I'm getting 100 plus FPS on this device. So nearly a doubling in performance and nearly a doubling in the overall heat reduction, which is something that I believe most of us will appreciate, because with these handheld devices, you know, heat is a big concern, obviously. Even though they are built to withstand high temperatures, I mean, if they haven't been built to withstand those temperatures, they wouldn't last a week, pretty much, because they do get warm like that all the time. Overall, there are some, you will see some frame drops, frame stutters, and stuff like that on the occasion. Last time I think I had major issues when I attempted to make the video. And if you don't know, I already made a video on the S23 like a week ago, but I didn't upload it because of the Vulkan official thing that happened in the announcements of the game. And I didn't upload because I stumbled upon various different issues and bugs, and I didn't really like my personal tone in that video, so I decided not to upload it, and I decided to make a new one, this one. I'm glad that they did it, because this one is going to end up being much more up to date, and overall going to end up being more accurate to what's going on in the game. But overall, for a 2-year-old device, you know, it's been doing a very good job. Now, this game isn't really, and there's a big misunderstanding and a big misconception about the game. Everyone thinks that this game is GPU heavy. It's not. You can clearly see that with the frequency of the GPU. It doesn't really go high. Basically, default clock speed, that's about it, and you get 60 FPS. To get the game to be actual GPU heavy, you will have to increase the resolution, which I will do later on in this video, and you will have to boost the graphics significantly to even make a dent in the overall GPU on a high-end device, like for example what I'm having here in this case. But let's go, and it will be time to go enable Vulkan. Overall, I mean, it's playable, but OpenGL performance in my standards, simply is not sufficient, and it's way too inefficient when it comes to rendering. So personally, I just go Vulkan every time I can. It's simply much better, and in this game there is a significant improvement that I have seen. Okay, now let's go and enable Vulkan. Now, as I have been talking before, I stumbled upon issues enabling Vulkan because I didn't want to copy the whole configuration file, primarily because I wanted to keep the default resolution, I wanted to keep the default visuals, I wanted to keep the default game settings, but I just wanted to enable Vulkan. And pretty much the thing I've done last time, I just copied the Vulkan lines, I pasted them in the device profile ini, and I saved. And this is pretty much what I'm doing here right now. Very easy to do, a very straightforward thing to do. Anyone can pretty much do this. It's nothing secret, nothing top secret. A simple Google search on the forums, on GitHub, on Reddit is going to give you thousands and thousands of different lines that you can do for Unreal Engine 4 games. So this is all within the engine, and basically engine is supporting these lines. I mean, they're made to be used with the engine by Epic Games, who made the engine. So there is no Vulkan. There it is. Last time, the only thing you had to do basically is just copy these 4 lines there and save, and it would swap to Vulkan. No issue. But in this case, it doesn't seem to work. And here I'm going to be writing in the, I guess, to designate it, to tell the game to actually recognize the lines. I was pretty much a little bit confused myself at why the game didn't really recognize them, you know. The same thing still works on the S25, by the way, but for some reason on this particular device it doesn't really want to work, which means that they have done something. Maybe more Vulkan, official Vulkan support on the way, who knows, maybe that's the case. I would actually say that's the case, but you basically need to put a fifth line, or in this case it's going to be the first line in the code, and then you have to basically put everything else below it. The reason why I didn't really initially do this is it tends to create bugs. Last time it did create bugs, so I started to avoid putting the first device profile, Android device profile line, but now you have to do that if you want to enable Vulkan in 2.4 at least. Okay, so it's saved and everything else is below it. Vulkan is there. So let's open up the game and let's see if it will work now. OpenGL still says OpenGL, still says OpenGL. Alrighty then. Let's delete this one, I guess, the very high line, and now we have 4 again. Slightly changed though, slightly changed. Let's go back and boot up the game, and what do we see? We see OpenGL still being the thing. Alright, so I said to myself, you know what? Okay, if this doesn't want to work, let's just copy the whole thing. Alright. Something I did not want to do because I wanted to keep the original configuration of the game, but I was at this moment while recording, I was a little bit there is Vulkan. Okay, so if you copy everything, apparently it wants to work. So and I then thought to myself, okay, what's causing it to recognize it and not to recognize it? And then I said to myself, okay, let's just delete everything that I don't really want to use right now, and let's just keep the GPU configuration, the GPU name there, and let's just keep Vulkan. Maybe that's going to work. So the thing that you need to do here, basically, you need to put the Vulkan line, you need to put the Android profile thing there, and you need to put the GPU name of your device, the same way that's written here, basically. You just need to put one for your own GPU, for your own GPU series. It should go back to Vulkan right away once you open up the game, without much of a problem. Wasn't the case before. This is new. This wasn't the case in 2.3. Personally, I don't really think that this was necessary to do. I don't know what could have done there. Could be the case that they're preparing the Vulkan switch to be added for older devices as well, which I personally believe to be the case. And if that's the case, then this little bug and this little issue is quite normal. But at the same time, could be something else. Could be a bug. So that's what I noticed, and I am here to show you guys what works, what doesn't work, what changed, and how to overcome the changes. But we are back in Vulkan now, and unfortunately though, I think I did kind of make the game take and load the custom configuration there. Even though I deleted the other lines, I think the game still kind of saved them, because after adding that, I basically unlocked the very high resolution, which is unavailable for 8 Gen 2, only for 8 Elite basically. But once I've done that, once I put the configuration inside, the very high setting has been unlocked, which I tried to avoid because I wanted to test out the game on the default, but I guess I'll just have to roll with it right now, because it seems that the other way around doesn't want to work. Okay, so we have Vulkan enabled. It's there in the upper left corner, Vulkan enabled. And I think next thing that I should be enabling is frame generation. Vulkan plus frame generation. How will that combination work? Okay, so let's do that, and let me show you also how to do it. It's also very simple, but at the same time, it might take a couple tries now in 2.4, because the frame generation itself didn't really want to work immediately as well. Again, that's why I'm putting the whole process here, so that if you encounter the same problem, you can basically just do what I'm doing here and try to see if it will work for you. That's why this is a uncut part of me going through the files, going through the configuration, and basically writing in, copying, pasting, and stuff like that. Because of for whatever reason, it just sometimes does not want to work. So if you have issues with that, just do what I'm doing here right now on the screen, because this is a uncut version of it, and I ended up making it work, but you just have to, I guess, try if it doesn't work. Kuro definitely made some things, maybe on purpose, maybe not, but I would say they haven't done this on purpose. I actually judge that by their actions. They're allowing Vulkan for more and more devices. They definitely don't want to prevent you from using Vulkan, so I suspect that this is a little bug within the game, and if it's a bug, I would say it will be resolved in the future update 2.5, maybe earlier than that. Maybe it's even resolved right now as I'm recording this. I just have to check the the what was it called again? The news, the update, the update thing when you log into the game, and the bulletin board or something like, I forgot the name of it. But yeah, basically just put r.afme.enable equal 1. That's to enable the Adreno free motion engine, which ironically works on a Mali GPU. You guys have told me that it worked on a Mali GPU and the Dimensity chipsets, which was pretty hilarious, because this is supposedly a Qualcomm, should be a Qualcomm technology, Qualcomm software, yet for whatever reason, apparently for some of you guys it worked on Dimensity chipsets. I don't know how, but that's what you guys told me, so I don't know. I personally find that pretty funny. It's in the name. AFME is pretty much short for Adreno Frame Motion Engine, not a Mali motion engine, but I don't know. Software is something funny, and at the same time, it can get close to magic in the ways how it works. But let's see if I successfully enabled the frame generation again. I did this last time in 2.3, no issues. I had zero issues with the commands to work. I would basically put them in, save, open up the game, and there it is in settings. I did the same thing last time, quite literally the same thing. Yet, is the frame generation enabled? Let's find out. Nope, it's not. Alrighty then. Back to the Enginini, I guess. And just follow what I'm doing here, because I was a little bit confused myself at first. I thought I made a mistake somewhere, I thought to myself, okay, I did make a mistake. I forgot to put the ones first time, I think. I forgot to put the equal one command to tell it to turn it on. 0 means off, 1 means it's enabled. And then I decided to do something funnier, because, if it doesn't want to work when I write it in, I'll just copy it inside, and then I'll just delete the unnecessary things, and I'll just leave the frame generation thing enabled. And this is pretty much what I'm doing right now. I'm just deleting everything that I don't want to have right now, and then I will just leave the frame generation thing, and then we will see if it will be enabled. So yeah, if you stumble upon issues, maybe you'll have to just copy, paste, and then delete the unnecessary things. Why that's the case, I have zero clue. But nonetheless, I personally am up for a challenge. If it doesn't work, I'll get it working. So r.afme.enable equals 1. Okay, should be good. And let's do the second one, the Kuro enable, as I like to call it. But actually, that's what it's called. r.afme.kuro.enable equal 1, and that should be... yeah, that should be it. Let's go back to the game and let's see if we manage to turn on frame generation. I'll be able to tell immediately if it's on or off based on the visuals on the screen on the main menu. The moment of truth. Well, okay. Well, we will have to go in the game to see if it works or not, I guess. But I think it should be enabled now. We will find out very quickly, very soon. So yeah, some things feel tougher, but it still works. And I personally would say definitely feels more like bugs than something done on purpose. Because if it was done on purpose to prevent you from using Vulkan or frame generation, you wouldn't be able to write the lines, and if you would be able to write them, it wouldn't work even if corrected. So I think it's just a bug, which is fine. I mean, it is pretty much very fresh, new to the game. Let's see what we have in the settings. There it is. Alrighty then, time to see how it will perform on Vulkan. So we have enabled Vulkan and we have enabled frame generation. Took us a minute, to get here, but I decided to do a uncut version of it, just in case you guys stumble upon the same issue. Just to give you a solution to the issue if it happens. Maybe it's just a thing for 8 Gen 2, I don't know. But if you stumble upon a problem, then you pretty much have a visual representation of how I solved it, how you can solve it yourself as well. So, well, it works. Frame generation definitely does kick in, and overall, if your goal is to have FPS above 60, then you can just enable frame generation and keep at 60 FPS in the game, and basically it will just be all the time above 60 FPS. It will be smooth, and you should experience little to no lag. Overall, will be very smooth, so we'll have absolutely no issues with it performance-wise. Maybe heating, you might notice a little bit more heat, perhaps, depending on from device to device, I would say. But overall, the FPS and smoothness is going to be perfect. Well, I mean perfect. It's going to be definitely smoother than 60 FPS, which at the end of the day, is still much better than just having below 60, I guess. Well, now we see the GPU doing a little bit harder work. And the overall FPS, while we still see some dips, it's actually not too low, not too much below 50 or 60, but overall the FPS is definitely much higher now, and we do get some decent FPS. Also, the GPU is actually put to work now, which is what we all wanted to actually get in the game for a year now. Now we can, finally. Yeah, now that the GPU is actually, it's not, it's funny because the GPU is still not working 100%. 100% is on 719 MHz. We are at 550 on average, 425, sometimes 680, which is decent usage, decent GPU utilization. And now you can put your phone's GPU to actual full use. We haven't been able to do this before Vulkan has been added to the game. 2.3 was an enormous turning point for the game, I would say. Overall, Kuro, I played Grey Raven for like 5, 6, 7, 8 years now, and my nose smelled good developers back in 2018, back before Wuthering Waves and Grey Raven even had a global version of the game. It's that feeling you get when you stumble upon gold, right? When you find something that's actually worth playing, and when you find people who actually care about their game, you tend to stick with them. And this is pretty much my experience with Kuro. They, so far, have just delivered. And when I say delivered, that's an understatement. Like, I don't know what word to use to be accurate to describe how good they've been doing with their games lately. Sure, it's not perfect, but compared to everything else that we have right now, they're knocking it out of the park big time. And with Grey Raven, for example, I love that game. Every time I take a break from the game, I feel sad because I know it's just a fantastic, insanely well-made game. And now I'm playing it full time. I don't care. I play Grade 11 full time. Never taking a break ever again. That game just amazing, and this game is on the track to actually get to the same level, and I'm all in for it. But let's see the Vulkan performance. I mean, do I have to say anything about the FPS? Considering the fact that I have thousands of windows online or on the screen here, considering the fact that it's summer, I'm trying not to die behind the camera there because I'm sweating bullets of the heat. This little phone is actually doing really well, and Vulkan is definitely doing an enormous job to actually get some excellent FPS and some not too bad temperatures, sustainable. Obviously, you know what's funny? 60 FPS on OpenGL hits the same amount as 120 FPS with frame generation on Vulkan. So overall, the power draw has been reduced by double, and the heat output has also been reduced by double. We have seen that last time, and this is obviously going to take an effect in the future of the game. So I would say a vast majority of problems with heat are going to go away, or if not completely going away, the cooling is going to be much easier for us now, much easier once Vulkan is widely available, or if you decide to enable Vulkan through the method that we have seen today. But overall, I'm happy with the overall performance of the game. I'm pretty happy with how it works. Looks good, runs really well, and the heating is manageable. So overall, as we have seen in the last couple updates, they have delivered, and they so far are keeping their promise. They're keeping their promise. I will keep my promise as well. When they do good, I tell that they're doing good. I will praise them when they do good, because that's just the normal thing to do. When they mess up, it's important to give feedback. It's important to criticize when they mess up, obviously, but at the same time, it's also important to give them credit and to praise them when they do stuff right. In this case, they are doing I would say tremendous work to actually get this game to run better and better on all devices, while at the same time looking better and better visually. So huge plus. I'm happy. I think people will be happy. I think players will be happy with the overall result of enabling Vulkan and frame generation. And I think happy player, happy game, happy developer. Win for everyone. And this is pretty much what I tried to talk about and what I talked about for a full year ever since this game has been launched. This is what I was talking about, and this is what I want to see in the game. And as we have seen so far, what I said proved to be right. But that was frame generation and Vulkan performance. I kind of want to do something else actually. Let me go and actually, I think the thing I want to do right now, I will play around with frame generation, but I will disable Vulkan. I want to see what will happen, because last time I think we were able to get frame generation to work on OpenGL, but it was buggy. Frame generation on Vulkan was also buggy, I believe, on the agent. But I'll have to go and double check that myself. But I think now I will turn off Vulkan out of curiosity, and I want to see what will happen when I keep the frame generation option, but I turn off Vulkan. Am I going to see bugs? It's going to be pretty interesting if Vulkan plus frame generation works now better than OpenGL plus frame generation. Last time it was the other way around. So let me just go and delete this. Okay, and I'll save. Should now revert back to default. Let's open up the game again. Let's see if we have successfully. I think it's going to, yeah, OpenGL. Okay. Alright, OpenGL, and yep, OpenGL. Alright, so what's going to happen if you leave OpenGL but enable frame generation? We all know what's going to happen based on the visuals that we see right now on the main menu screen. Yeah, that doesn't look that good now, does it? It does look like the textures lost color, or what would be the other accurate term? Okay, back to normal now. But yeah, I think we will stumble upon some bugs in OpenGL, which is to be expected, because if my theory is going to be correct, I feel like OpenGL is going to be phased out in this game very soon, which is a good thing. I mean, not phased out like completely removed, but I feel like in the future on all the chipsets you would not be able to turn on OpenGL plus frame generation. But I don't know, could just be a bug, honestly. I would say that this is just going to be a bug. I don't have all the answers, obviously I can just make speculations. But, ooh, well, that looks different. Alright. And let's move. There it is. Some visual artifacts popping up. We did not see this on Vulkan, which is interesting. Last time was the other way around. Now it happens with OpenGL. This tells me that Kuro has been working on Vulkan a little bit more for 2.4. And let's actually do some combat. Wait a second. What is this? Alright then, well, there it is. My controller is buggy a little bit for some reason in this game. So if you're wondering why my camera just likes to scroll, look, up the skirt of my characters, that's not me doing it, it's just my controller doing it. A very based controller, I have to admit. Well, that's interesting. So, Wuthering Waves, the horror game, I guess, where you can actually see through the walls and stuff. Yeah, there's some serious glitching going on here right now. This is with frame generation plus OpenGL, yeah, frame generation plus OpenGL. Surprisingly, the FPS is also lower on OpenGL plus Vulkan than on OpenGL plus frame generation than on Vulkan plus frame generation. So overall, if you want to use frame generation on all the chipsets, then you have to go Vulkan apparently, based on what I'm seeing here. Let's actually do some combat. There is a lot of weird texture glitches and overall visual issues, which is something I didn't really quite... not unexpected. After all, not officially available for the 8th Gen 2 now, so bugs, issues and stuff like this is to be expected, and that's why I'm saying that. But it's funny because now actually you would be asking me, okay, well, what do you prefer, OpenGL plus frame generation or Vulkan? Well, I'll just leave. Wait, what? What happened? That's an ultimate, okay. That's Flordelis ultimate turned... I don't know what happened there, it's pretty funny. A whole screen just vanished. You'll be thinking, okay, well, should I go OpenGL or should I go Vulkan? Honestly, I would say trust what you see on the screen. A picture, a video tells 1,000 words. If OpenGL has bugs and Vulkan doesn't have bugs, then it's easy to choose which one to take, really. I mean, that's just how I come to conclusions. I usually go with logical conclusions, Ooh, that was actually quite... it's actually quite interesting to look at these little bugs there, because it still looks good, right? It looks interesting if anything. But let's do some boss battles. And I also love how the second the frame generation does get turned off, it does get turned off when loading screens are active. does get turned off when the overall rendering in the game stops, and then for a split second you can see that everything reverts back to normal, which is again very interesting to see. You could see through the chair there. That's pretty funny. This is what I'm talking about. My controller just doesn't want to stop. Look at that. That's not me doing it, it's my controller. I'm fighting with the controls. And that's why you see my finger on the screen rotating the camera, because for some reason I'm unable to do that on the controller. Yeah, sucks, but it is what it is. In any case, let's do the boss battle. And, well, I mean, it is definitely playable. Definitely playable, but I would say the visual artifacts, the bugs are going to get in the way, and none of us wants to play with visual artifacts and with bugs, so as of now, in this case, seems like Vulkan is the more stable choice. If you want frame generation plus Vulkan, I guess that's the... Well, there goes the ultimate of... Yeah, that's... that's interesting though. Literally free testing that Kuro can look at and find bugs and basically fix bugs. That's what these videos could help with. And also some interesting experimenting and doing some little research, I guess. This is actually, I started to enjoy this a lot more often lately, because if anything, I said that maybe 1,000 times in the past. My goal is to help players get playable FPS, get more stable FPS, to make the game more enjoyable for players. I want everyone to enjoy the game as much as I do, and obviously I want the game to run as good as it can for everyone. So everything I stumble upon, everything I find on the internet, everything that I find interesting that can help, I will definitely share. After all, that's kind of my duty as a content creator for the game. And obviously helping the developers out as well. In the meantime, they get free testing, I guess, that they can use to, I don't know, fix bugs, add interesting things, improve the game after all. And funny enough, it seems like that's been the case so far. A lot of things I mentioned in the past have been added in the game. A lot of things that people have mentioned in the past collectively has been added in the game, which is nothing short of just fantastic developer work there. Alright, so in the last bit of the video, what should I do next? You know what? I think it's time to just load a custom configuration and let's floor this little chipset to its limits. Now I say that even though it's not completely pushed to its limits. This is the same configuration that I use on the 8 Elite, and this is also kind of a good example of the hard differences between the 8 Gen 2 and the 8 Elite, because I always wanted to be able to compare old generation with new generation in such a way where I can actually feel the actual difference. On most games you don't really notice the difference in hardware speed immediately. On this game you can feel the difference with a custom configuration file. If you go crazy on the settings, then you could basically enable 4x resolution, 4x 1080p, which I have right now basically. But the most important thing right now is to keep in mind that this is the same configuration I have on the 8 Elite, and the 8 Elite on the current configuration is getting 120 FPS, and it doesn't even max out the GPU. That's with that's pretty much what. Yeah, 120 FPS. I had to just check it in the background. 8 Elite with these settings, with the current configuration file, 820 FPS. This chip, the 8 Gen 2, at best it hits 60, 50, 60 at best is what I get on this little device. The GPU, as we have seen in this test, is now going to be pushed to 100%. Yep, the GPU is 100%, 719 MHz, and we are getting 44, 45, 50 FPS, so that would be the raw performance difference between the GPU of the 8 Gen 2 and the GPU of the 8 Elite. Somewhat short of more than double, like 2.5 times faster GPU on the 8 Elite than on the 8 Gen 2 because of the difference in the FPS in this game at least. We were getting 45, 50, 60 FPS maximum on the 8 Elite, 120 FPS flatline on the same configuration, and it's not maxed out. So, not maxed out on the 8 Elite. That's how fast that thing is. Insanely fast. And honestly, terrifyingly fast, if I have to be honest. That thing scared me when I compared them, when I saw the FPS difference. I was legitimately scared at how fast these things have gotten. But is this playable FPS? Yeah, you could actually go and turn on frame generation if you like, and if you want to turn on frame generation, you could do that and use I guess a high detail, high quality configuration file with frame generation. I'm fairly sure I could get like, I don't know, 10, 20 more FPS out of it with frame generation. So it's definitely going to hit over 60 FPS with that, but at the same time it's going to have a lot of severe frame drops, at least with the current configuration that I have here. It is going to have some drops to 30 FPS depending on what's going on. After all, very, very high resolution, very high settings, very high overall reflections and stuff like that added in, and the GPU is completely maxed out. So it is understandable and expected to see the overall FPS dip. And I mean, just look at the visual. This game just looks insanely good now. That I can't deny that. The reflections, lighting, the character models, everything just looks really good. And I think in 2.5 they're doing it basically with every update. They enhance the graphics every update. So on mobile we will see better graphics in 2.5, I believe. And basically the game is going to get visually more impressive with every update. So if it looks so good now, it will look even better in 2.5 and so on. Every new version basically will just look better and better. But overall, I have no complaints about the performance. This little device is doing a very good job. I could get stable 60 FPS only if I go and basically reduce the resolution to 100%. The resolution scale is 400% by the way right now. I can get back to 100% and then it will get 60 FPS without much of an issue, and even above that. But I just wanted to use this configuration file because I play the game with this configuration on the 8 Elite every day basically. So that's why I just keep it. It's just, fair comparison, as I like to say. But we are nearing the end of the video, and honestly, so far I have been happy with the game. I think players in general are very happy with the game, as they should be, because Kuro has delivered so far really well. I have very little complaints now. Most of my complaints currently are diverted to the gacha system in the game, because the weapon banner is fine. The weapon is guaranteed. The character banner though, it's not. It's 50-50. And if they do change that to 100%, like in Grey Raven, then I would pretty much run out of things to complain about in this game. Obviously, I can still find stuff to point out. I will still find bugs, little issues like that. But for the most part, I wouldn't have anything to complain about in this game. So I would say this game is on a very good track, content wise so far. Performance wise is also on a very good track, and personally, I'm more happy now playing the game than before. I feel like most players are happier now than before. The game is not perfect, it has issues here and there, it has little problems like that, obviously, but the game is in good hands. Kuro is a good developer. When I say good developer, I feel like calling them good developer is an understatement, but right now I don't have the correct words to actually describe them, so I'm saying good developer, very good developer, and I'm just very excited for the future of the game, very excited for the project Nami that they're doing, which supposedly is a MMO. I was in the search of a good MMO for a very long time now, and hopefully Project Nami is going to end up the way I imagine that it will. They have a potential to make something very special. I hope that they do make that game very special. But with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. If you would like to support me, feel free to like and subscribe. As always, I'm doing these tests so that I can give you guys solutions and some options if you want better FPS, if you want to make your game run better, if you want to minimize, if you want just overall better performance, better visuals. I am sharing with you guys the things that I find online, the things that I learn, and as a content creator, I feel like that's kind of my my duty, honestly. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to support me, feel free to like and subscribe. And with that being said, stay safe. And as always, I'll see you next time.